Hey, this is Peter Robbins from Wargaming with Peter, and I'm gonna go do something a little different than I've normally done. I am going to go literally go through the Armored Brigade 2 manual, a section at a time, and kind of just show you what I've learned personally, which doesn't necessarily mean everything. Um, I had been a member of the the public beta testing team, helping Matrix and Vitica kind of, dot the I's and cross the T's. By the time it was about a month prior to release, maybe a week more than that. We were handed a pretty solid state of the war game. It literally probably could have gone out, but what I will say is with the public beta, Vitica in particular, developers um, had listened to us very well. They had addressed, um, just some user interface, user experience stuff mostly. Maybe definitely some very specific things on sound in particular. I thought that they were extraordinarily welcoming on the input and had taken it very seriously and directly and reacted to it very quickly. And I am an engineering director in real life, and I gotta say, I'm very impressed at how quickly they turned around a lot of stuff. Okay, so I will openly say that. I definitely think that even though it might be considered a somewhat soft launch, in they're releasing it on Matrix stores before they release it on Steam to kind of maybe a broader public audience. That's somewhat what that represents. I mean, literally at this point, it's in a very good state. This is definitely not an early release by any means. Uh, it's fully functional, and what's there works well. I've only seen a few little things, and I've brought it to their attention, and I'm sure it'll be addressed. So we'll go through that separately. All right, so let's take a look. I'm not going to go through the introduction stuff. It goes through the system requirements, installing the game, uninstalling product updates, re-downloading your game. Let me read that one. I don't. If you were logged into your members when you purchased, uh, well, I mean that's via your My page, right? So if you ever do need to download it again, you just go to the main site here. Let's see, show you that. I don't care if you see it. And you log in and it goes to your My page and you just download it again. And it has a serial number associated with it. And I have it on reasonably good authority that everybody that's purchased it on Matrix Games um, should be able to get a Steam code. I would assume soon after the Steam release, probably whatever, give it a couple weeks, few weeks for them to get that set up, or configured. But so that's nice, I mean, quite honest, it is a very good convenience to be able to run it all through there because I have a shit ton of games on Steam. So that's that. Let me put my glasses on. I'm having trouble seeing this from here. It's not helping. Being 50 sucks. All right. So that's that. Kind of goes through all this, blah blah blah. Goes through installing it, uninstalling it, product updates, bonus content. Hold on. Beta. Oh, interesting. All right, so I didn't really even know. I didn't know too much about this, but they might have a beta track that you can kind of align to. I did not know that. We strongly recommend registering your game. Blah blah blah. I just didn't know about the bonus content. I hadn't really heard too much about that. All right, whatever. I'll ask about that. The game forums are at matrixgames.com. It's pretty easy to get to those. If you go to the main site again, community forum to get there. Armor Brigade 2 is down here, so that's where all that jazz is. Get into some of this other stuff. All right. So that's that. Technical support is available through Matrix Games support. Support at Matrix Games is the email. I just happen to, also be a part of the Discord. I'm sure I haven't looked very closely, but with the public release, I was kind of in the beta area when I was in the public beta test group. So I'm sure there's possibly even a bug triage forum there as well for the public release. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, every time I've brought anything up to them throughout the beta, and I would assume even beyond, I mean, they're busy. They're obviously probably busier now within this first month, so give them a little break on that. But I do think that they generally have been giving pretty solid customer support. They have all good intentions. So, occasionally, let me catch a breath. What I tend to do myself is, as you can kind of see over here, I run it in a window just because I have horrible ADHD and I usually do a bunch of crap at the same time. So I tend to just do this. Well, whatever. Yeah, it explains that. It's nothing real deep there. All right, so here's the main menu. This will let you pop right back into where you saved it. I know this seems weird, and I mentioned this in my Armchair Dragoons review of the war game of Armored Brigade 2 as a first impression article. I just put should be posted within a couple days. But when you continue, you go boom, you go right back to where you just saved it. For me, this is the vital functionality of the game. I mean, I know it seems pretty simple, but it loads quickly. I don't even know what I had in there, but watch. I mean, it's seconds to get where you were. And then, no matter what you've done, save and exit. Again, within a second or two. Done, saved, gone, exit. You can X out or exit. I know that seems like every game should have that, but not. I mean, honestly, it takes sometimes several buttons. I mean, I know it seems like it's a trivial functionality, but it's quick. It's like, and for me, that's vital. Like, you don't have to sit there and wait like half a minute or more to load up, and that's a key. That's a key thing about this game. This is a new custom custom made 3D engine, and I think one of the benefits of it is the fact they have a pretty significant amount of control. It's a C++ engine, if I recall from my previous interview with them. Nikolai, in particular, I had interviewed about a couple months ago. They had mentioned, they have control over memory management and so forth. So there's some unique, there, as you will see here in a moment, some unique visuals, and that I don't want just another Unity, program. Yeah, you can do a lot with Unity. Yeah, you can do a lot of customization, but this is very unique. It's a very unique 3D engine. It's very new. I would even say still early in its development, but it's definitely very functional. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind as you kind of see the 3D. It's not, oh my God, level 3D, but that's fine. It's not eye candy level, but it does what it does well. So let's just show what you get out of the box here. In the new mission, these generate mission and generate campaign are just what makes this eminently replayable, and I'll show you that in a minute. But if you just want to do one of their canned missions, you just do single mission. Some of the new ones, the new things to see here, that differ from the AB1 core release. Right now in AB2, you get these 4 tutorials: basic movement, advanced movement. Let you read that for a moment. Close air support tutorial, artillery and mortars tutorial. So these 4. Everything else is the same from the previous, from the original AB1 release, which is fine. It ports over, and if anything, it shows you that you can port over pretty much anything you had for AB1, can map-wise at least. I don't know particularly well as to how well some of the other mods from the workshop can port over, but the maps themselves can, from what I've seen. As a matter of fact, that's where they pointed us when we were on the beta, as far as if we were wanting to create our own maps, we basically use the exact same steps and process from AB1 for AB2 use. So it's pretty cool that they just basically automatically port over. So those are the tutorials. These between Twin Valleys here and Elastic Defense. These are all the AB1 scenarios. So it's nice that you get them. In my Armchair Dragoons review, you'll see that I kind of, I constructively critique the fact that I maybe would have liked to see more. But you do get, let's see, 4 new scenarios. These are brand new. The Patrol, which is a good scenario, by the way. Crossing Denied, Line in the Sand, and Piercing the Ring. These 4 here are new scenarios, right? The Scripting Showcase, 1, and there happens to be one other one, additional one there. Those are also additional. Those are really, as they say, these are showcasing a fully scripted scenario. They have a little bit of synchronization in there, but I think first and foremost, they give you examples of the newer kind of airborne assault functionality, which has been included in the newer version here of Armored Brigade. So some really cool potential air assault capabilities in the war game now. So cool stuff. Just catch my breath for a moment. I always forget to catch my breath during these, and I regret it by the end. All right. So, again, just for a review, that was doing single mission and then just picking one. These are the default ones. These are user-made ones, and I'll kind of show you how we generate these. These are saved, generated scenarios from basically picking a larger map and then selecting a subsection of that map and selecting certain, meeting engagement, attack, or defense, blah, 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 and you'll see that here in a minute. But this is where those saved user-made scenarios, if you will, go. So there's not as much in the way of a traditional map editor and/or mission editor in Armored Brigade and/or this second version in the series, the second offering in the series here, which I hope they continue to make many. It's not a traditional editor. I do, meaning, you don't start from scratch, just start with the map and start plopping things in. You do, and it's double-edged sword, I'll say. You got to kind of get used to it. You got to kind of go in there and generate and then edit it. It's a little different, right? I'll be transparent on that for my thoughts. It's good, but you'll see that it's good. It's different, and I like that uniqueness of it, and you'll see here in a moment what that means. Let's go back over here just to make sure. Okay. Yeah, of course, you can get also, before we get into some of the other stuff there, you can get into the mission editor. Let's see what happens here. So these are 3 that I had saved off from the generate mission capability on new game. And then you're able to set player character, you're able to set parameters thereof. This is the main parameter section. Exit with no saving. And then you can edit the deployment. So, I mean, it kind of, it does mostly what you would expect in an editor. It's just you got to go about it differently. Let's see if I can. Yeah, okay. You can edit the objectives. This is like another screen in the generate sequence or wizard, or however you want to say that. And each one of these, you just say exit no saves. Select forces. So again, you're basically, you can look at each of the phases of the generate mission after the fact. So you have reasonable control over it, and then the fact that you can control the deployment. I mean, it's you have everything that a normal mission editor gives you, right, from other war games, but you got to kind of get at it from the generated one. So it kind of it forces you to use the generate capability, but then you have reasonably good control, pretty darn good control over editing the result, right, and then going back and editing basically. So the best thing you can do as far as mission editing prep for yourself or training is to get used to how you generate a scenario from scratch dynamically. All right, so let's just kind of do that real quick. And I kind of want to go back to the manual real quick just to make sure that I cover all the topics. Give me 1 second, just take a breather. Also means drink some coffee. All right. I've caught my breath. So I'm going to go through this pretty directly. Where is this? Number of battles, blah, blah, blah. Yep, the save scenarios as I had just shown you. They end up in the single mission menu as a new game, and you just pick you end up with that tab, and you pick user missions, right? So then you end up with a selector. In the first screen, so you select the map, adjust the sector size. After selecting the sector, the impassable slopes. This one isn't really showing that very well. It's a little bit more visible over here. These red markings here are the impassable zones. Good idea to pay attention to rivers and lakes because impassable water can have a dramatic, yes, definitely can. You look for any blue lines here or what you've selected, blah, blah, blah. It becomes pretty obvious whether you've done a good selection. Just restart if something looks funky. If the area that you've chosen doesn't have enough of a dynamic maneuvering capability, then so be it. Just hit the restart button and go for it. So let's go through the generate mission. You select the factions and force types. That's more visible over here. Let's see if I can get in a little bit closer. Oop, that didn't. That's not what I wanted. Let's do this. Here we go. I'll try to show this. Let's just see this in the thing anyway. So let's get through this, and then I'll go into the actual game and do it. All right, so you just do the 4 factions and force types, and you select the year and month, available equipment, and some faction attributes. They do change by that, and that somewhat affects the environment, variables, the day, twilight, and night lengths, etc. Those are kind of like dynamically set within some text files. You do have control over that. If I'm not mistaken, at the map level, I can't remember the specific file off the top of my head, but maybe in a future video I can kind of show you where that's set and what that file looks like. In the objective screen, select the mission type. If one side is defending, then that side can optionally have its units dug in for extra protection and also have access to obstacles such as minefields. These options will later determine how much less blah 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 money, how many points you have, etc. Dummy objectives. It's a chance for an objective to be a dummy. The dummy radius adjusts the area where the dummy objective may be placed. Kind of don't understand that one, but that's all right. The random objectives are placed according to the player opponent. Objective setting, the default values come from the force type settings. The water setting changes the water type varied, uses the default value using the map. Be aware that impassable water may make the map unplayable. I have not messed with this very much. This in particular. If that's the case, there will be an error message. Yes, I experienced that when I was trying to make my own map, which couldn't figure out, but that's another topic for another day. And we will do a video on how to do your own maps, by the way, eventually here. In the sector view, click and drag the deployment zones bigger or smaller. There's a min-max button there. I recommend just kind of, you do the min, but then I would use the plus and minus. What I've eventually ended up figuring out, I kind of kind of go in between. I usually don't do the max, sometimes don't, and I don't necessarily like the min, so I kind of go somewhere in the middle. Depends on what the map depicts and how much maneuverability, avenues of approach and stuff are present, etc. In the sector view, you click and drag the deployment zone bigger or smaller. Remove or place objectives as needed. Usually it starts or defaults with like 8, I think, and you'll see that here in a minute when I go through all this in game. And again, you'll see that in a minute. Combat power allocation. Again, I'll show you this. I'll show you a clearer picture of it when we get into the sim. In the basic settings of the combat power allocation screen, adjust the player combat power and purchase points if force type is not dynamic. Let me read that. Adjust the player combat. All right, I don't understand that. And give the opponent bonus or penalty points. The opponent. The only reason I bring that up is I didn't really understand. Maybe the game hint gives better clues there. The opponent base points usually depend on the player points and the mission type. Use the unit selection variable to set if the players or the opponent's points should be spent manually or automatically. More often than not, as I was learning the game, I just as I was just trying to do generations of missions, I stayed away from manual. I just let it be automatic. But now that I've kind of learned the game reasonably well, I tend to now use manual. But what's interesting is that you, based on some of your previous selections during the battle generator wizard, it does kind of automatically set the ratios of force types, right? Infantry versus this, that, the other, recon, etc. So it's nice. You have some control over what's buyable, right? Quotation marks. So it's RTS-y, it's RTS-ish, but it's not like battle. It's not like event card, operational card type stuff from Warno, Red Dragon, Wargame, or Regiments by Microprose, right? So even though there's kind of like a buy structure involved or a point structure involved, it's still it is still geared towards a generally realistic scenario and approach. So I'll say that pretty strongly. Use the okay, I already did that. In the advanced settings that are based on the force type setting, the player can customize load and save the category point limitations. Interesting. I didn't know you could save that. Okay, that's cool. So you can actually kind of come up with your own force type categorical limitations. So that's kind of nice. And we'll take a closer look when we get in there. Force selection, blah, 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 as you can kind of see here, but I'll show you a better picture here in a moment in the interface. Select the recon, infantry, mechanized infantry, armor, support, and aircraft category forces, and view the list of available formations or sorties in the left side view. That's this area. Purchase them by right-clicking, and then you do I think there's an add button here. Left-clicking twice or using the add button. I tend to use the add button. The purchase formations are on the right side. It ends up over here. This is your total points list, and again, it'll be a little clearer when we look at the actual interface. I will get us up to user interface here, and then I'll probably stop this first tutorial. Some formations have a training or morale penalty or bonus. And that changes their price. For example, second line units may have them lowered, and an elite unit has them raised. If this is the case, then the training or morale value number is rendered in a different color. Below the training and morale are listed the global modifiers. Off-map artillery is purchased in groups. The size of the group depends on the faction attributes. The defending side may be allowed to purchase obstacles and pillboxes. I think this is by. I think there are some choices prior that allows that or not. I think it's actually, it's based on whether or not you've chosen the defending side, and I think I don't know if that's available in all three types. I don't know if it's available in a meeting engagement or not. I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's only available in a defense, but I we can test that out here in a minute. The purchase system can select the formations and other assets automatically. The selections are based on the mission type and database values that vary depending upon the historical availability and how favorable it would be for the AI to have that formation available in the battle. All right, cool. Getting there. Custom launch options in the final screen. The player can customize the scenario launch options to suit his playing style. Please note that these custom options, possibly excluding the player character option, are not saved in the scenario file. They can be different every time when a saved scenario is started. Is this just the default, I assume, then? Okay. Yeah, I didn't. I'll have to play around with this a little bit more. So you play the game using the rounds mode, which is described further here, and I'll describe in the next video. Yeah, it's just basically time lengths and no pauses. In Armored Brigades, in Armored Brigade 2, orders can be issued when a round is in progress, but it's not possible to pause or save the game when a round is in progress. The player character option forces the player to assign himself to a unit on the battlefield. The easy mode reduces the player force command delays significantly. I think I just saw a post from Vitica Studios on Tank Sim Discord that this reduces it by at least 90%, I think, was what I heard. If the show hidden in AAR option is enabled, then all the enemies, hidden smoke, etc., blah, 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 is revealed in the AAR phase, which happens at the end. And once you get the mission summary, then there's a little button there that says, hey, you want to see the AAR? Or no, I don't care to see how badly I lost. The player will also be able to review the enemy order of battle. Interesting. Okay, I didn't notice that. I might not have had that selector on or not, but I'll try that when we get to that eventually. It takes a while for me to actually get to the end of a mission at some point. The show victory levels option allows the player to see the victory level bars in real time without the fog of war. If the allow plays enemy sounds option is enabled, then all the battlefield sounds are always played, even if the sound source is not detected and identified, regardless of the player character. I tend to not use that just for a little fog of war. Since also it keeps the sounds down to a more reasonable amount and frequency. By adjusting the training and morale modifiers, one side can be made stronger or weaker. After done, the quick play. All this is, I mean, honestly, I didn't necessarily need to read through all that. You could have done it yourself, that's fine, but whatever, I'm kind of forcing myself to kind of see if there's anything I've missed when I've done all this. But we'll take just a quick look at this in mission. So let's go. I'm actually going to use a customized map of the Fort Knox training reservation, the military reservation in Fort Knox, Kentucky area. I hope I got that right. So we're going to do this. We're going to generate a mission. We could use any of these other maps. I'll just kind of quickly show you a different example. Ardennes, the existing NTC, Fort Irwin, etc. But I'm going to show you this new customized map, the Fort Knox Military Reservation, which we've been working on kind of towards the end of the beta. We kind of decided to do this for potentially aiding ROTC programs in the U.S. to train ahead of their advanced camp in summer. So then, as you see, you end up with kind of you're choosing an area to do. I'm going to try to pick something that's a little open here. So that's the min is that the max. The max actually happens to be the whole size of the map, but I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to do something in between. So this is the min. Let me just kind of pop it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's go 2 more. Boom, 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 boom. Let's do something like about like this, okay? So see, it's cool, really cool. Gotta love this game. All right, so then, so this again, this is a customized map. It will eventually be available in the workshop, probably by the time you see this, maybe. We'll see. We're kind of working on it a little bit more, some details of it. But let's go. So that's that. There's not much more here. Ooh, what is that? Oh, I didn't know you could do that. I don't know what that. Huh. Huh. I did not know you could do that. I'm assuming that's just kind of like the most recent thing. Okay, cool. Let me see something. Watch. Huh. I don't know. Maybe is that map specific? Oh, yeah. It does. Huh. It does pick your most recent saved setting for that map. I wish there was a little bit more indicator of what it's actually doing, but that's fine. All right. So then, all right. So this is the next one. I kind of wish it gave a header. I mean, honestly, it kind of just goes to things that it doesn't really give you a header. You're still in the generate mission. It kind of just, I don't know. That's sorry, that's a nit. But so here's obviously the indicator. Oh, interesting. Okay, this is by the way of the database. I think this is just kind of a default level of training morale delay. Okay, that's interesting too. I don't know what that. This is the dynamic. This is a baseline, and that's a dynamic. Okay. Oh, interesting. Oh, well, that's interesting too. Okay, so I need to read a little bit more. It didn't really mention. All right, so whatever. All right, so let's just pop this to infantry. Okay, just kind of show you. I mean, it's an advanced. Oh, you can do this too. Okay, so interesting. So what I don't know is if I save this is if this is keyed in as Fort Knox's most recent loaded. It seems like it saves the most recent one, or it defaults to a default. Interesting. All right, whatever. Um, and then here's where you set the air superiority. A side may or may not be allowed to purchase or air support in the scenario. Note that some factions never have selectable air units. Blah blah blah. Just for giggles, I'm just gonna say none for now because I just don't want to mess with it. For now, for this tutorial at least. So interesting. Oh, that's the impassable water terrain. That's the river. So both units are gonna be kept on this. That's interesting. Okay. Huh. I'll take note of that. I didn't realize that would do that. That's kind of neat. It's kind of makes that portion of the map unusable, but I don't know. Maybe there's a way around that by including some sort of bridge, fake bridge mechanism or something. All right. So then, interesting. It did scale the number of like normally it'll give you 8, and I think that's based on perhaps the max size by default. I don't know. Total number of objectives. I can make it 3 or I can make it 2. Why did that not show it differently? Oh, there it goes. Now it's showing it. Oh, that was kind of weird there. Okay. That might be a little bit of a bug, but it might be just a map. So I usually, it seems to, especially when you use the max size, it seems to default to 8 objectives, which is a little excessive. And I don't know of many op orders that would include that many. I mean, normally you're using about 2 or 3, and one of them is the main effort, one is the support effort, one is the reserve, right? But whatever. All right, so that's all that. Check this 103. Why is that? Okay, I don't know what the redness of that is. Interesting. Oh, okay, you can actually paint that. I haven't messed with that too much. Why is that? Okay, just gonna do that. I don't know what's making that red there like that, but whatever. And here you have the choice to do auto or manual. I'm gonna go ahead and just do auto for this tutorial just to let it do its own thing, but it's gonna use the ratios. Let me say meeting engagement tutorial 1 video something. whatever, something unique there. So that's cool that I can do that. Show hidden in AR. I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to force this either. I think some of this you can kind of dynamically set when you start a mission, which I think is more appropriate, honestly. But let me go ahead and just play it. I'm not going to play through it. I'm just going to show you. What results? That's the briefing I did. I didn't set that text, but again, this kind of shows you the larger Fort Knox Military Reserve custom-made map made by David W. of the Flight Club International, by the way. So many thanks to David. Also goes by 22sec on Discord, on other servers. But thank you very much. And this is the result. Again, this is completely 3D. You can kind of see the contouring involved. This is the impassable zone, is the river basin itself. So we have to kind of stick along this area, but just kind of show you that that's the result of all that. And it kind of it allows you to see where your operational area that you defined for the scenario resides on the larger depicted map that's available otherwise overall. I'm not going to get into anything else. I think I will keep it at that. That was fun. Have a good one.